Hello, welcome. My name is Lauren with the Laurel Leaf Owl, and in today's video, I'm here to tell you that you don't need to memorize all 78 tarot card meanings. It's more about understanding how the tarot is built. So in this video, I'm going to share with you a framework and a structure you can use so you can start reading tarot quickly and with confidence. So let's get into it. So before going further, I do want to let you know that I will have guide sheets and basically the notes to this video in the description below. I'll probably pin it in the comments as well. But basically, I have below a guide sheet that includes the meanings of all 78 tarot cards on 2 separate pages. You can actually print it out in color. It looks really nice. But I printed it out here so you could actually look at it with 2 pages right in front of you. You don't have to flip any pages around to look up meanings. They're just all sitting there right in front of you. I also have a numerology guide that will be useful. And when you're ready to deepen your study and bring even more depth to the meanings of the cards, I also have included an astrology and tarot correspondence guide as well. That is all in the description below if you're interested. So starting to read the tarot, what I would recommend is getting a Rider-Waite-Smith style tarot deck. This is the iconic traditional tarot deck that we always see in the movies, and it's just, we've all probably seen a version of this deck at some point. It's called the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. This is the Radiant Rider-Waite. There's the more traditional Rider-Waite style tarot deck here. And so I would recommend this style tarot deck because most of the symbolism in tarot decks is based off of the Rider-Waite-Smith style tarot deck. So if you can read a Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, you'll be able to easily apply that knowledge to any other tarot deck that you use. Okay, so let's go over the structure of the tarot deck. So the tarot deck is 78 cards and has 2 main sections. The Major Arcana, which is 22 cards. These include cards like the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, and the Empress, etc. And the Major Arcana represents the big, major, overarching themes and experiences of life. The Minor Arcana has 56 cards, and the Minor Arcana represents the more smaller day-to-day experiences of life. So we can think of the Major Arcana like the chapters, and the Minor Arcana we can think of maybe as paragraphs within those chapters, if that makes sense. The Minor Arcana is structured more like a traditional deck of playing cards. So we have 4 suits. We have the Wands, we have Cups, we have Swords, and we also have Pentacles. And like a traditional deck of playing cards, we have 10 pip cards, Ace, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 10. And then we have court cards. And in tarot, the court cards are the Page, the Knight, the Queen, and the King. So for this video, we're actually going to dive into how to read the Minor Arcana first, and then we'll go into the Major Arcana after that. So the Minor Arcana has, like we mentioned, 4 different suits, and each of those suits symbolize something different. So the Wands symbolize action, movement, intensity, inspiration, and that feeling like the fire in your belly and moving with that kind of inspired action. Cups represent deep emotions and intuition. Swords represent the mind and thinking and analyzing, and can also represent communication. Pentacles represent grounded, practical, physical and tangible reality. Okay, so that's the first part to note. And the second part to note is the numerology. So the 1 through 10 pip cards all have a cohesive significance and meaning throughout all 4 of the suits. So once again, the numerology I'm about to go over can be found in this little guide sheet here. So let's just get into it one by one. So we'll start with ones or aces in the tarot represent new beginnings and pure potential. Twos represent choices and can also represent partnerships. Threes represent growth, expansion, can represent creativity, collaboration, teamwork, and building. Fours represent firm foundations, stability, and also can represent home and security. Fives represent challenge and change. Sixes represent love, harmony, balance, reciprocity, and also support. Sevens represent seeking the truth and reflection. Eights represent our relationship with limits or moving beyond perceived limitations. We can think of the 8 as the infinity symbol, so that also reminds us of that symbol of limitlessness, breaking through limitations or our relationship to them. 8s can also represent skill development. 9s represent coming to the completion of a cycle. They can also represent solitude and autonomy. And 10s represent completion of a cycle and beginning of a new one. And now we'll go over the court cards. So the pages represent innocence, eagerness to learn, can be naive a little bit, and just optimistic and excited to learn and explore something new. The Knight is all about actually taking action on that new idea. It's the action, and Knights can also be thought of as the messengers in tarot. Pages as well. Pages and Knights can both represent communication, but Page in general is eager to learn, and the Knight represents movement and action. The Queens represent inner mastery of the suit, and Queens also represent archetypal feminine energy. So qualities of archetypal feminine energy include things like receptivity, creativity, nurturing, and also intuition and deep wisdom, and also magnetism. Like the Queen of Wands specifically is a highly magnetic energy. Kings represent the outward mastery of the suit and also qualities of archetypal masculine energy. So qualities such as protection and planning, leadership, strategizing, providing structure. All of these are qualities of the archetypal masculine energy. Okay? All right, so now that we've gone over the suits, the numerology, and the court cards, we can now start to read any card in the minor arcana without actually having to look up the meaning. And we can also use the picture for more meaning as well. So let's actually pull one pip card and one court card. So we just pulled a court card, the Knight of Swords. So let's go over the suit. So swords are all about the mind and thinking and can also be communication. Knights represent movement and action. And look at the picture. He's going really, really fast. So fast that the horse looks kind of worried and scared and unsure. And so we can derive a lot of meaning just based on the picture. So we can see and gather that this might feel like a very impulsive energy. So like having a thought and just taking action quickly, immediately, or blurting something out really quickly without thinking about it too much. It just enters your mind and you just blurt it out. And so this can be a very impulsive action energy. And that is actually what the Knight of Swords does represent. And if you want to double check or get even more insight, go to your guide sheet and see what we have here. And on the guide sheet, it says ambition, swift action, fast communications. So like we said earlier, swords represent communication. Knights also represent communication. He's going really, really fast in this card, so it's fast communication. And it's also, yeah, I always think of this card as like the wheels are kind of falling off. It's really fast. It's almost faster than we can keep up with kind of feeling in this card. So now let's read a pip card and see what we gather from here. So perfect. We have the 10 of Wands. Wands represent creativity, passion, movement, action, and 10s represent completion of a cycle, beginning of a new one. And in the picture, he just looks like he's carrying a lot. Like this is heavy, this is a lot, he's taking on a lot, and it's the completion of this chapter. So completion of a chapter where someone's working on many projects at once, or just taken on a lot. And this is coming to completion, or we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel in this cycle. That's what this card represents. So we can come to that just by looking at the card, knowing the numerology, knowing the suit, and then looking at the guide sheet. What do we have? Overwhelm, burden, a lot of responsibility. Okay, so now that we've gone over the minor arcana, let's go ahead and go into the major arcana. So for the major arcana, I actually do recommend doing a little bit of studying on each card. In this video today, we're actually just going to go quick fire through the cards and get an introductory meaning on each and every card. But these are cards that have a lot of depth and meaning to them, especially as we get towards the last half of the major arcana. So 12 through 22. It really represents transformation on a deep level and major lessons in life, whereas the first part of the major arcana represents more of the earlier lessons and learning. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the major arcana, but we're just going to go through the meanings quickly here. So 0 is the Fool. He is all about taking that leap of faith into a new journey and experience, and taking a chance, new beginnings, and he's very optimistic and trusting to figure things out along the way. Number 1 is the Magician, and the Magician represents bringing ideas to life, making ideas real, using the resources we have available to us. Number 2 is the High Priestess, and she represents intuition, deep knowing, psychic abilities, and can also represent the subconscious mind and receiving messages through dreams and just really trusting that deep, still knowing, and can also represent hidden knowledge as well. The Empress, number 3, represents the archetypal feminine energy. So she represents qualities such as nurturing, creativity, growth, receptivity, and she's also connected to the planet Venus, as you see in this little symbol here, and Venus is connected to comfort, beauty, romance, and also opulence as well. And she's just really, she's taking up space, she's in her power, and she's highly magnetic. So this is what the Empress represents. Number 4 is the Emperor, and he represents the full expression of archetypal masculine energy. So he can represent steadiness, consistency, leadership, authority, protection, providing structure, and these are the qualities he represents. He's a steady, consistent, trustworthy, honest, high integrity kind of quality here. And he has Mars in his hand. And Mars is bold, assertive, and it can be tied to competition as well. And it's just action, assertive, and it's tied to Aries, which is the first sign in the zodiac. So that can be a pioneer and leading the way for others. Okay? So the number 5 is the Hierophant. The Hierophant is can be connected to a teacher, and can also be connected to a spiritual teacher as well. And it represents tradition, the tried and true path, just following tradition, following the rules, and following that tried and true path. And in a relationship reading, this card can represent a deeper level of commitment. Lovers, number 6, represents sacred partnerships, and it can also represent a choice. Number 7 is the Chariot, and the Chariot represents self-belief, confidence, strong will, and drive. So he might really be able to do difficult things. I'll say a little bit more about the Chariot. He doesn't let little things or doubts in his mind stop him. He moves past them with will. He's very focused on where he's going. His intentions are pure, and he has a very strong iron will where he's going to move forward and progress on his path no matter what. These two sphinxes represent opposing forces, and he's like harnessing the opposing forces and making them work for him instead of letting them stop him, if that makes sense. The Strength card, number 8, represents courage, will over instincts, restraint, and compassion. The Hermit, number 9, can represent solitude, introspection, reflection, and self-discovery. Number 10, the Wheel of Fortune, can represent cycles, destiny, and the constant of change. Number 11, the Justice card, represents integrity, fairness, truth, and legal contracts. The Hanged Man, number 12, can represent letting go, sacrifice, and looking at things with a new perspective. The Death card, not as scary as it looks or sounds, is about transformation and rebirth and a transitional time. Number 14 is the Temperance card, and this represents integration, balance, healing, alchemy, and we see she has one foot on the ground, one foot in the water, which can symbolize having one foot in the physical reality and one foot in the non-physical, more spiritual realm. Number 15 is the Devil, and this can represent addiction, attachments, excess, lust, and conditioning. Number 16 is the Tower, and this represents a collapse, an ego death, a breaking point, and just can also symbolize a breakthrough. The Star, number 17, is all about hope, is all about believing in possibilities and perceiving of what's possible in a way we couldn't before. It's renewal, and it's one of the most positive cards in the tarot. Number 18 is the Moon, which can represent the unknown. And this can bring about feelings of fear and paranoia, but it can also be representative of intuition and dreams. And just it's that quality of things not being shown in the light. And so we can either go the route of being fearful of paranoid because of what we don't know, or we can go the route of connecting more deeply with our inner knowing and inner compass and inner lights, okay? The Sun is often seen as one of the most positive cards in the tarot. This is number 19, and it is innocence, it's joy, optimism, and happiness. Number 20 is the Judgment card, and this represents realizations, seeing past obstacles and seeing the way forward, seeing the clouds part, gaining clarity, and it also can be about hearing the call or following our inner calling. And the World is 21, and it represents completion. And it's actually a card that kind of represents coming back to the beginning. So it has qualities of the Fool, but you've got all the wisdom of the journey behind you. You've completed a major cycle. And so there's more depth to your understanding of things and your wisdom. This card can also have to do with travel or long distance travel. It can be connected to that as well. And those are the meanings of all the major arcana cards. All right, so now that we've gone over all the meanings of the major arcana cards, and of course you can deepen your study of those meanings and really develop your own language with the major arcana cards and the minor arcana cards. But at least with the minor arcana cards, we now see how it's structured and that we don't actually need to memorize each card definition by definition. So let's do a little bit of a sample reading. So let's pull 2 cards to start. All right, so cool. We have 3 cards that are all wands, actually. And we have a court card, and we have a pip card. So we'll keep those, but we have another pip card here, but I actually want to get a major arcana card just because it's going to be a better example. And we have one fell out. So we have the Hierophant that fell out. So we have the King of Wands, we have the 5 of Wands, and we have the Hierophant. Okay? So what I like to do, even as I'm shuffling, I like to, okay, I'll distill this down into a few steps. I like to set my intention. This is intended to be a helpful resource, okay? It's not intended to disempower us or be something we should be afraid of. So I like to set my intention that the messages I receive are helpful and empowering, even if they're not necessarily what I want to hear. I just trust and know that my higher guidance and higher wisdom will give me the messages that I will recognize as truth. They may not necessarily be what I want to hear, but in a way, I'm going to recognize it as truth and feel a sense of clarity and empowerment from the messages I receive. Whether I'm doing a message for myself, a reading for myself, or a reading for someone else, I set my intention before the reading. So even if I pull a scary card, quote unquote scary card, I've already set my intention. So I don't read tarot in fear that I'm going to receive a message that's going to spiral me into fear and paranoia. I know that my guides are going to give me a message in a way that is gentle and loving and supportive for the highest good of whoever I'm doing the reading for, if that makes sense. So we have 2 5s. Let's just go ahead. We've set our intention. Let's go over the meaning. So we have the King of Wands. So I have my own language with tarot cards, but wands represent inspiration and movement and ambition. And the lizard here I know represents seeing the way forward. Lizards see in the nighttime. So they see what others don't see. So the King of Wands can represent seeing the way forward even when no one else can. And there's a lot of leadership represented in this card. And I just have my own connection with the King of Wands. But again, you can take the archetype of masculine energy as well as wands being ambition, kings being leadership, and derive meanings from that. But that's some of the meanings of the King of Wands. And then we have the 5 of Wands. 5s represent conflict and change. Wands represent desire, ambition, passion. So these can be conflicting desires within self, conflicting desires and passions with other people. But that's often how I do read the card, is competing aspects within self, competing desires. And the Hierophant, the tried and true path and tradition and by the book. So we know the meanings now. We've gone over the meanings. And what I like to do is just become very present. I normally will meditate before reading tarot. So I'll meditate for about 10 minutes, but just to be concise in this video, what we can do to receive intuitive insights is simply breathe. So take maybe 3 deep, full breaths. Become present, come out of the busy mind and into the heart. And we've set our intention. And then simply look at the cards and see what you're drawn to first. And so I'm going to do it. And what I receive can be different from what you receive. And actually, if you want to pause the video now, look at the 3 cards and take some deep breaths and allow yourself to receive insights. So let's go ahead and see. And I'll just share with you what I receive. So this is for clarity. My intention is to be a clear channel and bring through the messages that are most needed to be received at this time for those watching. Okay, so the message I receive is that your intuition has been nudging at you to actually see things a little bit differently here, to break break away from what the conventional expectation is. This represents conventional expectation, and there's something perhaps on a more inspired level that's been nudging at you, saying, go this way. The King of Wands sees a way forward where no one else may, and no one else may understand the King's vision. No one else may understand what they see and what they're tapping into, but the King has unwavering clarity and sees the way when no one else sees the way. And so this message is kind of a guidance to tap into that. And perhaps we've been conflicted and we've been battling. No, this is what the book says. This is what the tried and true path says. This is what traditional, conventional wisdom is talking about. This is what they're teaching. This is what we hear all the time. But something within us is saying this isn't entirely true. There's more to this than group think or conventional thinking is tapping into. There's something deeper that we already know, but maybe we haven't given ourselves full permission to see yet. And so this message is about giving ourselves full permission to really tap into this energy of seeing a path forward where no one else sees it. And it's like, give yourself full permission to tap into that, to listen to that, to ask it questions, get familiar with that, and allow that to bring you clarity in the direction you're going. So that is what I tap into when I read these 3 cards. And so that's setting the intention, coming out of the busy mind, relaxing, and coming into the heart space, being open to receive the gentle messages from our higher guidance, from our guides, from spirit, whatever resonates most for you. You can even messages from your soul if that resonates most for you. And then see what comes through. And that is how to get started reading tarot. So I hope that this was helpful and insightful to you. Again, if you'd like to download the guide sheets, I will leave that in the description below and also pinned in the comments. So thank you so much for being here. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you'd like more educational tarot content like this. And I will see you in another video very soon. Until next time, take care. Bye.